Yeah, are y'all ready, Kayla?
Yes, sir.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. I'd like to call the meeting to order. This is the finance meeting, Wednesday, August 16th. Let's get right into it. Number 2, finance report, Ms. Kayla.
Okay, so y'all all have the summaries in front of y'all. I'll just go with the closing balance as of June and then the projected year-end balances. And if y'all have any questions, I can. Mr. Caroline. If you have any questions, I have the detailed in front of me. So for general fund, the closing balance at 6/30 is $8,137,000 with the projected fund balance at $4,882,000. Road and Bridge, we have to subsidize their fund a lot, so their closing balance is the closing balance of 6/30 is $636,000 with a no balance or the projected fund. Courthouse and Jail, the 6/30 balance is $1,188,000 with the projected fund balance as of December $846,000. Health Unit, the 6/30 balance is $934,000 with a projected fund balance of $812,000. Garbage, $5,264,000 as of 6/30 with a projected fund balance of $4,193,000. Criminal Court is another one that the general fund has to subsidize. Their balance as of 6/30 is $2,127. 911 is $77,000 as of 6/30 with a projected fund balance of $53,000. Library, 6/30 balance is $6,447,000 with a projected fund balance $5,723,000. I'm gonna skip over Cameron Fire, Creel Fire, and Great General Fire. This is just their balances. We have not spent any of their money because they consolidated the South Cameron Fire. So we'll skip down to Johnson Bayou Fire. Closing balance as of 6/30 is $1,726,000 with a projected fund balance of $426,000. Grand Lake Fire, 6/30 balance is $434,000 with a projected fund balance of $352,000. Klondike Fire, closing balance is at 6/30 is $13,000 with a negative of $600, but I have talked to their fire chief yesterday and they are going to cut back and make some changes, so that most likely will change to where they'll break even. Hackberry Fire, closing balance at 6/30 is $1,544,000 with a projected fund balance of $1,451,000. Lowry Fire, closing balance of 6/30 is $270,148 with a projected fund balance of $252,000. South Cameron Fire, closing balance of 6/30 is $407,000 with a projected fund balance of $35,000. Gravity Drainage 8, closing balance is $223,000 with a projected fund balance of $194,000. Forest Commission, $160,000 as of 6/30 with a projected fund balance of $162,000. Sweet Lake Cemetery, the closing balance is $136,000 with a projected fund of $129,000. And then the Hurricane Laura Fund, that one there is a little. The closing balance were negative $14 million as of 6/30, but we're slowly getting some more FEMA funds, and that could even get. This is just the projected right now. We could get more because you never know when it's going to come in. So that's a negative $10,927,000 is projected end of the year.
Wow.
Open.
So most of that's coming back?
Yes, that's all the projects and everything. That Hurricane Laura, that's all of them. All the buildings we've been repairing and stuff like that.
Is that just for the jury or is that for all the entities also?
That's mainly the jury, yes.
What about, and I might have missed it, previous meeting, Johnson Bayou, they paid us some money back?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, they paid us, they're good. And I did invest a lot of the money. We have invested a bunch of the funds into the LAMP, so it's starting to really worked on, or we made sure they were obligated before we started working
That's
on
what
it.
I'm saying.
Yes,
I said-
we just, I guess,
I mean, obligated.
yes, I think,
But so this $10 million, negative $10 million, that's just cash on hand
Yes.
that didn't come in yet.
yes.
But they're obligated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so,
We're just waiting on them to pay us.
yeah,
Yes.
I mean, FEMA, that's how they work. As-
It's slowly.
But when you show $10 million, then you gotta make sure you know that it's been obligated.
Yes, yes, and Katie usually helps me with that fund because she does all the PW stuff. So like, and she wasn't here for me to get the full update. I just kind of took her projected.
Mr. Joe Duhon in the back there, basically, where all our money is, where exactly everything's, do we have it in our local banks or other?
All of our banks with First, like all our general fund is with First Horizon.
Okay.
That's where our general fund is. We do not have many accounts open though. We just have a few.
Joe, what bank are you now?
Same, well, B1.
What is it?
B1
Oh,
Bank.
B1, okay. I'm just
Okay.
curious.
Any questions on
You said you had some money invested, we're limited on what we can invest in. What do we have ours in?
Lamp,
Lamp? Okay. And they're mostly bonds?
sir?
They're mostly bonds?
No, it's just invested into there. You can like move it in and out. So if we need the money, I just go in there and it just comes in. And, I mean,
What kind of interest they pay? Ballpark, you know,
it's pretty good.
The interest?
No.
Talking about what? You gotta pay them to hold your money.
no, not really.
5.1, Caleb?
I know more.
Yeah, it's pretty. I mean, like I invested the $1 million for Grand Lake Rec. I put it in there August 1st, and it's done made $2,000.
There you go. August first is now.
Yes, August 1st, and it made $2 million. Sorry, I mean $2,000. I'm sorry. I could tell y'all. I have it right here. I just log in.
Another question, road and bridge. What's the millage on that? And are we at the top of our millage?
But then everything had to be.
Always been in recovery from hurricanes.
Yeah.
They closed down a couple of farms, I guess, to get the budget. That's all it needs. Where y'all wanna go with it? Everybody said, yeah, no. I thought about it many times, but,
Yeah. Gonna have to be done.
but, you know, if
Needs to
you
be
get, I say this much about that, cause I've dealt with it. Bonnie would always have these projections, but if you get the final, when it's all said and done, it was never the projection.
No, that's just.
Mr. Sony, Road and
Like
Bridge.
the interest.
Yes,
Yeah,
something
it was-
always.
Sometimes it was close to being
Road and Bridge is
with the tax
6.87.
brought in,
He said,
you know, so she can tell you that.
Mm-hmm.
So just because it's showing a projection of being out of whack, it's,
Oh, yeah, I get whipped every month.
I know,
I know.
we're gonna keep
You got a
whipping,
belt for me.
keep whipping you too.
You got
I'm like, you gotta take money from somewhere else. Where else where you wanna take the money from? You want some?
That's right.
all right, any more questions for Caleb?
No, good. Down
Everybody
good.
okay? Y'all okay down there?
Got
Sonny?
that?
Got numbers there.
good.
When we gonna do our first budget in October?
Yes, sir.
October.
October 1st.
All right,
October 1st, the first meeting in October.
all right, we're gonna move to number 3, the Grand Lake Rec. appropriated that $1 million, we kind of put some change on it. And, and using the money, you know, do we pass a tax or whatever, what was gonna happen with it? Well, we talked to Tremaine and Thomas and them about different things, and, you know, they wanna be able to get their hands on the money, put it in their bank account, and use it accordingly. I know everybody got different big emotions, so Tremaine's gonna come up here and we let him talk a little bit about it, what he wants to do, let him explain his thing, and we can talk back with him and go from there.
Thank y'all for allowing us to come up here and kind of express our needs for our local rec center. And just want to say, first of all, thank y'all for allocating the money for our rec. We know Grand Lake needs it. I mean, we're all sitting in limbo right now. I mean, we're still waiting on FEMA to come through with a yay or nay on their part on our rebuilding process. And right now we have about 500,000 that we have up in our account, which is there for if FEMA comes through and approves us for, say, a $400 million rec center, we can have our 400,000 to match that portion of it, because we got to match 10% if we come in if I'm correct, Ms. Mandy.
I'm checking on update right now.
Checking on the update. So we have to match 10% more or less if we stay where we are. If we move to another location, my understanding is we have to match 20. But right now we don't have any funds to actually move forward with any building programs or architectural plans, any drawings, anything to go forward. So whenever, if it is or isn't approved, we don't have the next step. And all we're asking for is just a release of funds so that we can put it maybe in our account, we can draw the interest off of it, which would help offset some of our costs also. We'd utilize that money for our drawings and architectural plans to come in and get started. That way we can do our analysis on our budget, our quotes, what it would cost to build the building, and then whenever we're I mean, we're taking 200 million and running with it. Say, $2 million facility, maybe we got a match.
Tremaine, when we kind of started discussing all this right now,
I was just guesstimating.
Okay.
If it is a $4 million approval, or if it's a $3 million approval, or if it's a $5 million approval, we have
That's fine.
that 10% to
Oh, you
match
did,
that.
that's,
I'm sorry on the
oh, you
400,
good.
my mistake.
You good.
when we all discussed this, putting some money aside, try to put it aside, we put a stipulation that each year we would try to put $1 million, depending on our budget situation, you know? Well, I'm okay with help. I want to help Grand Lake get a rec. But right now, we have in the process of all of our buildings and stuff, she just read it out. If we give you $1 million, we're down to $3 million. If we got to pay out any more in the past, $3 million ain't much money when we got to operate the sheriff department, the DA's office here, all our bills, you know. Seems like a lot of money, but ain't a lot. I'm okay with paying some engineering fees, but like I was discussing with some of the guys now, we appropriate $4 million. We didn't appropriate 10, 12, 14. So you have to, when you go for your engineering, you need to stipulate to your engineers, say, look, we want a project that's $4 million. That's the money that we got allocated.
Correct.
If you just turn them loose,
No.
they're gonna come in at 10 or 12 because they get paid percentage.
Right.
Okay, you know.
And that's
so.
what the funds were for that part. It would be like to say phase 1 here, phase 2 here, phase 3 here. That way we can do in
Well,
phases if needed.
we okay with the $4 million, I'm okay with the $4 million deal, not to hand you the money, but we would pay the engineering fees right now until, and you're still drawing the interest, it's still going in your account. And you have $500,000 to operate with right now.
But that
One
500,000 is
we had to bring in, and it's not gonna,
passed.
well, you know,
Over this.
we only did $4 million.
Right, and we're not asking for the whole 4 million.
I understand that. But
We're
you
just
can
asking
pass
for
it.
the first million just for us to get our preliminary
I know.
started.
But we already did the numbers. On the 4 million with the tax assessor knows what it's gonna cost each household up there for the 4 million. So you can go out and pass your tax, because that's all you're gonna get is the 4 million. So you can go out and say, okay, we need a facility for 4 million. We know what our tax is gonna be per household. This is what you'll be paying. Do you wanna proceed with it? And that was always the case. We wasn't gonna give the money if the tax didn't pass. So we can't give you the money right now and the tax hasn't passed, you know what I'm saying? So you know you got 4 million, you know what your taxes are gonna be. If you come in at 3 million, well, it's just less taxes, but I don't think it's gonna happen. 4 million.
Was a maintenance tax,
Yeah.
is what the stipulation was
Yeah.
for, maintenance and operation tax.
Yeah, we don't want you to pay it back. We're not
No,
saying you gotta
so
pay
it's
it
a
back.
maintenance tax, so we don't know, I mean, it could cost us $200,000 a year to maintain it.
And how much of,
It could be, we're getting $120,000 a year right now
okay,
on a 4.1 mil tax.
okay.
And I wanna say whenever they went through the, tax assessor, a 5 mil tax would bring us up to, I think, another 180, which caps out around 300,000 a year.
And it's gonna take that. It's about what it takes to run Cameron facility, about 300. So you,
How many meals you have to go up?
9, so it'd be 9
We'd have to get a total of 9 mills to get 300,000, 4.1 now.
4.1?
You'd have to
Correct.
double it basically. And that's about what Cameron rate gets.
And
So,
in the same breath, I mean, y'all see all the insurance issues that y'all was going through to begin with on the first meeting. To get somebody to pass the tax and everybody's insurance poor right now, it's gonna be a
Yeah, but-
hurdle. It's
well,
gonna be a
it,
hurdle. And I know the comparison between everybody else in the parish and our tax bracket and everybody.
but you have to understand, we can't give money out there if you can't operate the facility. If the people of Grand Lake does not wanna pass that tax to operate this facility, then it's just jurors and the board that wants to build it. It's not the people of Grand Lake. If the people of Grand Lake wants to build that, they're gonna pass that tax,
But
okay?
one thing they're gonna be asking for is what is your true operational cost?
Yeah.
Not touch it?
So, okay, we're talking about all this in one place in Grand Lake, okay? So if somebody else comes up and they want the same deal, we're gonna give them the same deal?
We already approved it, $4 million.
If they need it and they can afford it, and we can afford it, we should do it.
But if they don't pass
And
the
we're
tax,
talking about 2/3 of the population in one area that does not have a rec center right now. And no industry to pay the taxes. And the jury has the money, and I feel like we ought to help whoever comes. When Johnson Bayou had a tax and had the richest base over there in a fire department that went broke. Grand Lake areas. And every one of them has to pay the tax, not industry.
Okay,
but we understand.
Yeah.
And we agreed to the 4 million. You say, well, engineering could be what, 10% of the
That's
job
what
cost,
we're
$400,000.
That's what we're hearing.
Okay,
That's what
so-
we just wondered if y'all could allocate the money, just let us, I mean, look, in the grand scheme of things, I know y'all wanna hold the money and y'all.
We
take care
ain't
of
got no
everything.
choice right now, because if we run short, we're down to 3 million, you've seen that, if we give y'all this at the end of the year, and we still gotta operate, and that's no money, you know? And we have, look, you say, well, Grand Lake ain't got no wreck, we ain't got one either. Ours is down, we ain't got it fixed. The Cameron wreck is
I
not
have,
open.
posted a picture showing the floors in there, it should be pretty close to getting
But
done.
it's not ready though, that's what I'm saying. Grand Chenier wreck's not ready. Creole we had to tear down, they ain't got a wreck, you know? But I'm not driving that, we agreed for the 4 million, we'll do that.
money out your account. your account that's still got the $1 million in it, that's still drawing interest, that's going into your account, that, you know, we can't touch, it's obligated to you, not if some emergency happens, a hurricane or something, then we in a whole different ballgame again.
Yeah.
But I think, maybe get that going, get that started, get it drawn, and send the bills to us, and we'll pay for that, and get you on the.
Comparison to show you the difference.
Help
in
it forward.
the industry, we're at 9 mills in Grand Lake would be roughly 300,000 a year.
That's
9
what we-
mills in Hackberry is gonna be 1.3.
Yeah.
That's just a difference in the.
Yeah, but not in Cameron, because Cameron, we're only collecting about 300,000. So we had 9 mills, it'd be about the same as y'all.
Be pretty close.
Yeah.
But y'all's industry, give it a couple of years, and I mean, y'all gonna reap the benefit.
But in a couple of years, things needs to change.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
Well, all I say is they wanna move forward so they're not lagging behind.
Right, we wanna be a step ahead.
Whenever the money comes, I think we ought to work on two.
Pay the whole 400,000 up front when you do the engineering fees, so that's gonna be a step, you know, as they do it and as you do the project, so. We gotta put it back, you follow what I'm saying?
Right.
And once all these buildings are paid back, that'd be 10, we've got about 13 million. But then we can kind of afford it, but today, I can't see me voting.
Sonny?
Before we pay for the engineering fee, do you have a conception of what you want? I mean, I've heard some stories from indoor swimming pools and walking tracks and stuff, you know, like they have in Spar. First off, we can't do that before me, but my point being is, do y'all know about what you want?
We don't know what our actual budget would be, because we can't even start. I mean, we can have a wish list of everything we wish to have in Grand Lake, but we can't put anything on paper until we kind of halfway figure out what our budget
Well,
would be.
your budget's 4 million from the parish.
Right.
When
mean,
did
that's
we
what-
agree before me?
Well, it was $1 million a year for,
Million a
for,
year.
you know, trying to put up, was trying to put up $1 million a year for 4 million, that's
If
what.
the budget dictated we could.
Oh, we
Couple
voted on
months.
that.
last year.
November the 10th, 2022.
Yeah.
Maybe you know what we?
I'm looking at me.
November 10th, 2022.
You know what?
The money.
I think we decided to put up some money each year if we could afford it.
If we can
I don't
afford
know
it,
what
yeah,
we
that's
did.
only if we can.
It was not stipulated for
And
a
with the
certain amount.
stipulation that it has
A
to
certain
back-
amount was not
back to back.
stipulated.
It wasn't
Back to
stipulated.
back.
No.
That's kind of what we figured it was gonna cost.
It wasn't stipulated amount.
Right, the amount.
Right.
Yeah.
So the 4 million is not a guarantee. So like I said, as far as what was passed was
There's
1
nothing
million.
there's nothing guaranteed.
No,
Right.
It could be $1 million,
Right.
$2 million, you know, I mean,
The
but,
only guarantee is if FEMA tells you next week that they're gonna guarantee and pay X amount of dollars. That'd be the only guarantee, and that $1 million we put up there. But every year from here on,
we was gonna try if we could afford
we're
it.
gonna try.
Right.
And our goal was $4 million.
Yeah. We can afford it, you know, but it's not here yet.
And-
And we got, you can see our financial statement, we would have about 14 million once these buildings paid back.
Oh,
Yeah, then we, you know, your business, you know, you gotta hold on what you got when you, but,
correct.
I'm okay with you starting your program and try to get to see what it would cost. But I was telling Lee, we have to put a budget on that project because you just can't turn them loose. Because
No.
they don't tell them what it'll come in at.
Can Gary, can you help them? You're an engineer. I mean, can you kind of help them out on all this, or?
Well, I think they need to get an idea of exactly what they want. Do you Yes. want a weight room?
Like,
Do you
you want
want
ball fields?
spa? Do you want,
Well,
yeah.
No, we can't do ball fields where we are. Right now, our main goal is to actually just.
Well, you know, I thought you about 80, I thought about the 80 acres. I
I
thought
was
you
moving to the 80 acres.
No, we don't
Well,
want.
that's where the
Oh, if they
FEMA
move,
ones.
they won't get.
Oh, y'all want to stay where y'all at?
FEMA money.
We want to stay there just because if we move over to the 80 acres, that isn't a flood zone, that increases our actual insurance costs, which we already on a very small budget. So the insurance costs over there just in the flood zone.
So y'all just need a new pool, new building,
New building, new gymnasium, new pool, and like I said, we have the 12 acres that go all the way back to Black Bayou. I know the school board is in there with their school buses. We did the research and trying to find out if there was actually any land swapping, and nobody can find it.
mhm.
So we actually have the land that goes, from my understanding, all the way back to Black Bayou. So there's room back there to build batting cages, there's that room to do maybe
No,
What is it,
back
tennis
cages ain't that
courts?
much, yeah.
But there's,
there's a lot to do that we can put on those grounds.
But y'all could add,
so
y'all
the
could
main,
add
the
on. to
main
it.
rec center,
Correct.
y'all know y'all wanna wait. A footprint to start somewhere.
Yes, and every change you make,
They
they charge
have
you.
to charge.
So like,
Right.
and then if you wait too long and they have to redesign it,
Right.
they're gonna.
You don't wanna go in and say, we really don't know what we want, draw something up,
Is that
cause
something
that's one charge.
you can help with the initial drawings on, or?
Yeah, I mean,
That's kinda
I
hard to
can't,
fix
but I'm
that.
only with one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be too hard for him to,
No, I mean-
he got so much
And
going
I don't
on.
have a problem
Hey,
trying to help out with some of that stuff.
Whenever
Okay, hang on,
they
Linda got
decide,
something. Go ahead.
whenever they decide on this project, their engineering and their architectural fees will be reimbursed by FEMA. Because when FEMA decides to obligate their building, one way or the other,
Right,
they're gonna reimburse us for those architectural and engineering fees.
okay.
Because that's part of the project.
Well, they have the money for that. You know, the FEMA,
You can,
you gotta pay it out front, FEMA reimbursement.
How much are they?
Right, but I mean, if that's $1 million that we're that we're helping them with, then those funds may come, may come back and.
Come back to us, and
Same.
then I got you.
It's gonna be a replacement. That's where the 10%'s coming in.
I mean, we've asked for, it. You know, we've asked FEMA for, it. You know what, if they approve it.
Hang on.
I would recommend that.
FEMA?
Wait, say that again?
Do we know what we've asked FEMA for and what, if they approve it, what it would be?
So what we had asked FEMA for was a complete replacement, like we're gonna demolish the whole building and we're gonna build something new. And so that's what we asked them for,
So
because
there's no dollar value placed
there's
on
no
it.
dollar value today, because we're still waiting on FEMA. We just finished up their content stuff, which Tremaine and I have worked on that for 3 years now. And they are just now starting to get that into the obligation place for contents. And we've been on the phone with HDA and getting them to decide, to help us do exactly what we needed to do so that they would get fully reimbursed for those contents. Because we looked at doing like rent to own type thing, or just renting it, and FEMA said no. So
If FEMA comes through and at the best, it may not need all the $1 million.
That's what I'm saying.
Who knows?
Yeah, but FEMA's only gonna give them what they had.
What they had.
And that ain't big enough.
well, no, because we asked them for a change, like, because it was over 50% damage. So
Right.
we told them that, the age and other things that were obligated in it, we wanted to replace it all because it wasn't worth fixing. One of the examples I can give you is like the bathrooms in the older part of the brick building. They're code, it would cost more money to put the bathrooms and everything up to handicap code than it would to tear them down and build new. So we had to prove that, and I kid y'all not, we've had 2 engineers, 2 sets of architects, and all kinds of other people writing these projects to look at it and give us all the information they could. And FEMA's still bouncing stuff back right now. I mean, I'm getting an update via text. Sorry, I've been gone for a couple of days, so I didn't know we were doing this, but
I don't wanna say.
Now, the question I was asking is that money's gonna go into the $4 million
Is what they cover.
project cost?
Yeah.
But we should have an idea before we even go to an engineer, well, this is what I want, not just, kind of
Oh, we have-
where your property is,
They probably know,
yeah, just kind of throw
We
something
have
together.
basics.
How wide is that property?
Sir,
What's the width on that property?
the width on that property from the highway to the fence line is roughly about 150 foot wide.
Yeah, not quite.
and let me say this too.
That's up to the parish board.
any construction or demo to what is,
They'd have to have access.
They-
any construction or demo to what is currently standing will really jeopardize that project in FEMA's eyes, or obligating any money, and that's coming from HGA, not just from me.
No,
They-
I understand that.
I know, I'm just letting you know, and I understand where Tremaine and I talk almost weekly about this stuff, so I get y'all's frustration, but in the same breath, you go get an architect to do these plans and do this stuff, and like Mary said, if you wait too long, then they're gonna change it, and then you have to redo it all over again. And I don't wanna for them not to.
I mean, you can't do nothing now anyway with the property until, you know, we
Right.
get the FEMA deal. The best bet is for Tremaine and them to go back and get with an architect or whoever they gotta get with, draw up something they want with a budget.
That's what we're here for.
Okay, yeah, well, you can do that. I
Well,
mean, I don't see what it'd be.
I agree with Ms. Their thoughts they can put, you start getting an architect to start doing this design work,
You change.
and that FEMA obligation comes in $2 million.
How long we been waiting on FEMA already? I know.
I mean, I understand that as well as y'all do, but, that.
And I mean, and everybody's frustrated when it comes to this project because it's been a bouncing back and forth situation. And I'm not blaming it on FEMA, but they've had some people in there who are on retirement place and not showing up, and I don't even know what else to say, because that's the best I can give and the nicest I can be. But it's going no faster than a snail's pace on this, and I know you guys are frustrated because we are too. You can ask Tremaine. We
People are
talk almost
frustrated. I'm not
weekly on
around,
this
I
stuff.
get calls from Sarah Nunez and everybody else.
Oh, I know.
What about our rate? What about our ball field?
Oh, I know. And they're looking at a building that looks like crap and it's still standing there. So, I mean, I get it. I look at my house every day, I feel the same way.
At this time, if we're gonna, I would recommend if y'all are gonna obligate money for design, they can start the preliminary site work, existing topographic survey, have the information ready hopefully over the next couple of months to then get into design. I just wouldn't try to push too much into the design phase.
If they can
Still
kinda
have
get their
FEMA
head wrapped
obligation.
around what they want.
Well,
and
then
what
you'll
it's
know,
gonna cost.
have a better idea of what the overall fees are gonna be, what they can and can't spend, kind of what's obligated to their project.
Oh,
That-
is
that
there a metal
building-
there too beside the old house?
Without risking FEMA, because we
Yeah,
definitely
without
want
risking
FEMA
FEMA.
It'd still be all within.
And y'all know
They
that
can go do a site plan, similar to
Yeah,
what I did for,
Right.
that location has been there for
just
such a
way more
long
detail,
time.
they'll get the-
Huh?
that's kind of the point I'm making, why we spend
Get all
40,000,
Yes.
whatever it is, you get all your
Right.
drawings, it's gonna cost you that much to get this stuff done.
Agree.
Just have a preliminary
All the stuff they're
drawing,
gonna need.
and to where you can start. All, drawn out, every spec, every, thing that
So has-
architect's gonna do.
Has the Grand Lake Board and y'all's board gotten any feedback on what y'all would like to see? Like what people in your area would like to have?
Well, yeah, I mean, we want something comparable to everybody else in the,
I understand.
in the parish.
The reason I'm asking is because there may be, when y'all have y'all's next meeting, you may want to invite the public and say, okay, what would y'all, this is what we had, what would you like to have? What could you need? If we laid this out differently, because I mean, that was the plan, was to make it laid out different so it would flow better for everyone. Because we had an old house there that somebody donated, which was great, but it's not all user friendly,
This
So, I
is,
mean-
once they choose an architect firm or an engineering firm, this is part of what they can go through is their town halls and have,
Get an idea
some
what they want.
conceptual
That's right.
plans drawn. There's 10 plans and we can only afford one.
Correct.
Jermaine, my question to you is the voters in Grand Lake gonna agree to go up, to raise their taxes up, their mills up to pay for that building?
And that's the answer, I mean, I don't have that answer because,
Because, you know, we talked about it before, and they said they're not raising their taxes. Hey, they all raised Cain about it. They said they wasn't gonna do it.
we've heard both sides of the story on it.
Hey, I'm talking right now. You done had your turn.
Okay, hang on. Don't get excited here.
My problem with it is, this is the problem, all right? They said that they weren't gonna pay these taxes. They said that out in the public, they said that, okay? And if they don't wanna pay it, I understand that. But for the jury to come in and give $4 million for them to have them a recreation center, when they have the majority of the people, all right, to raise their taxes and pay for this thing, I can't support that. I know everybody else will, but I'm just telling you right now, I cannot support that. Because the people in Hackberry have been paying Mongali meal tax for years and years and years.
Not just to say this, Fran, you probably know, everything's set up in wards.
Oh, yeah.
And those, everybody had to pay the taxes. That park out there, my dad paid $21,000 a year in 1980. He was cut and flipped, but you know, the people of parish, of this ward passed it, so he had to pay his share, 10 years for that park. So if the people up there want it, all we're really asking, what I'm asking for, is them to pass a tax to maintain it, not to build it.
Right.
Maintain it.
I mean,
If they don't wanna do that, well
I
then
can't
we don't
answer
need
the
to
question on the
donate
phone. I know
$4
there's
million.
a lot of people in the community that support and they want something for their kids and for our community to have. 'Cause I mean, y'all see T-Boys. T-Boys brought our community back really close.
Mhm.
I mean, a recreation center would do basically the same thing from your school, I mean, your reg dances to your basketball games to just bringing the whole community back together. And I think whenever you come into that part, you know, and I know, it's all about sales and how you sell it to them. But as what we have right now, they're not gonna pass anything seeing what we have without.
That's why we gotta get
Yeah.
something.
Gotta get-
So
Y'all
yes,
gotta have a focus of what y'all want for that budget, and get it to the people to show them,
that's
and let's
where
see
we
what
at
happens.
today.
Right.
See what's
Today.
going, you see
Hang-
what's.
hang on, forward.
Hang on.
That's where we're at today to proceed forward, so we can bring something in front of our community and say, this is our goal, this is what we're working for.
Right.
And yes, this is what it's gonna cost to maintain it, because we would have some decent figures to go off of.
Okay.
And then from there,
Go ahead, Lee, let Lee talk for a second, see what he gotta say.
I just wanna say, this is a perfect example of what's been going on, okay? In the parish, in the history of the parish, his daddy owned a business and paid taxes on that business. The people didn't have to pay the taxes, the businesses had to pay the taxes. Just like in Hackberry and Johnson Bayou, all the pipelines come in that area. What about Creole? How many pipelines you got coming in on Creole, Scott? Zero. How much money you got for your fire department? Zero. How much money you got for your waterworks? Zero.
A whole lot.
All right, let's get that straight.
Hold
The industry paid those taxes and built
You
those
cannot
buildings.
tax the industry without taxing the people.
That's right,
Okay, the people
but
pay
they
taxes.
paid for the money.
I pay tax every year on that, still do.
Everybody paid taxes.
We paid a bond
But
issue, we
two-thirds-
paid not only tax, but a bond issue to build it. Look, I wanna tell you, we're gonna take some heat over this stuff. I wanna support the rec, I'll support the rec, I'm not gonna support the maintenance center, okay?
That's what
No,
I,
I
Point being is,
We're not asking
we're
for
gonna,
that.
what we're doing is different than what we've done other places.
$1 million from Miami Corporation to build that. They come to the jury wasn't gonna pay. So I went out and got the money. So there's some effort that we need to reach out to other people and try to get money too.
and we
You know what I'm
can't go
saying?
to them with a blank sheet of paper.
Exactly.
That's our biggest
Exactly.
issue. We
Yeah.
can't go nowhere besides where we are with a blank sheet of paper.
Mhm.
We have to put something on it.
Right.
So we
And
talking
we-
about.
Y'all bound to have, y'all
All we
have some plan on what y'all.
Okay, look,
There-
this is just gonna work. I like to make a motion that we pay everybody through.
Well, we gotta put it, you know.
Well, to answer Scott's question, there was a drawing back whenever I think Lee had brought it up a few years ago, which has probably been 8 years ago or so, through Goodloe.
Yeah.
That was just thrown together, but nobody has any copies or
Oh,
any-
man, they put something
any
together for y'all.
from back then.
I mean, I like I said, I don't have a problem with it either, but you're gonna have to, you can buy your car or truck, somebody buys me a car or truck, I gotta be able to pay the insurance or put a fuel in it. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
don't.
we need to.
you-
And but
I don't have a problem.
Jermaine's right, it's just every project I've done, you gotta get out there, you gotta spend a little money up front, even though you don't want to, you gotta get the engineering done, to get started, you know?
That's where we.
Yeah.
I think that's his plan, is trying to get started.
Right now, and then I'm leaving, sorry, with where he's going right now, I think he doesn't need the engineering. He needs a general
Architect.
site plan, is probably what he's asking for right now, just to get that other paper like Mr. Randy, and I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I asked, what I
It needs
got.
a
I think that's what he's trying to get started, you know, have the money there to get started. Or moving the money for you right now, will probably. A special account for the jury, but it's your account, your money, that $1 million is obligated to y'all right now. Next year,
On the bill.
maybe not be but 200, but right now you have $1 million in your account that's obligated to the Grand Lake Rex.
Wait a minute. Now, Joe, on everything else, we've always, the entity had to use what they had first. Okay, you remember what?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
even, everything we've ever done. So you got $500,000, so you
Now,
can't.
I respect that under the normal circumstances, but where we are now is
No,
not
but I
normal
understand you, let us
circumstances.
talk. You're gonna take and use your money, you can't just put your $500,000 over here and expect us to pay for something. I thought y'all was broke. You take your $500,000, it costs you $50,000 or $100,000 for an architect to draw it up and say, this is our plan, this is what we wanna do, and we wanna pass a tax with that, and go meet the people to pass the tax. Because Jermaine, this is the deal, and things linked to that $1 million. If you don't pass that tax, you don't get the $1 million,
And that's why we're afraid to touch it.
okay?
We
But-
don't wanna touch it.
But how you gonna get some money? You have to do your first step first. So you're
That's
gonna have to,
your first.
you're gonna have to go out and get you a site plan, an architect to draw it up. This is what we want, this is our budget, it's gonna be $4 million. We need to pass a tax to support it, and the jury will back us up.
That's what, we
Okay.
was coming to you today to try and release the,
You know, we won't release. You gotta use
the
your money
conditions
first.
on that to allow us to move.
But why would you wanna just hold your $500,000 and us pay for it right now? Because you have a $500,000.
Because that $500,000 is dedicated towards,
Oh.
FEMA comes on board and says you're approved, it's gonna run in a circle either way. If FEMA comes on board and says you're approved, we're gonna have to come right back to y'all and ask y'all for that $500,000 again, because we done spent our
No, it's $500,000. already there, baby.
No, it's
And
already.
Well,
Hang on,
I
hang on
don't
a
think
second.
you're understanding. So the $1 million is set aside, it's yours.
unless something
Hold on,
happens.
No, listen,
hold on,
listen.
hold on. That's your money. If you spend 400,000 of your money to get your drawings, this $1 million is still sitting here. So you can be reimbursed for that 400,000. If FEMA comes, if you get your drawings and a week later FEMA comes and says, hey, we're gonna give y'all $4 million, you owe us 400,000. Kayla can say, here it is, cause the $1 million is sitting right here.
But you
You're
have
not
to
gonna
use
be
what you-
out
You're not
the
gonna be out any money.
$400,000. The money is there.
I just wanna,
Unless something comes up and they need it.
a hurricane, and you can't blame me for that.
If a hurricane comes up, we're not worried about a restoration
Hope he
zone.
takes that
But remember,
But we're not gonna use it
remember
for
the one
ordinary
thing,
fund.
that was on a commitment, that tax passed, that they can pass a tax
Yeah.
and maintain it. And that money's there, and any other money we can allocate is there for you.
That's
hope-
exactly why I'm here today is because, and I can't say that. And the tax doesn't pass, well, we broke.
I don't know what else to tell you.
Right, so that's why we're chasing the rabbit's tail and sitting back here, well, we are afraid to move anything because
Well, let's
FEMA
slow
comes
down
through.
with engineering for a second.
Well,
What you're gonna need is probably 10 or 15,000.
Right.
Or less.
Yes.
this is
to get a
uncharted
site
territory
plan,
for us.
just to get the site plan.
Right.
That's
That's
all
what you need to get a bill to start
Jermaine, it's
using
just
to
like
get off to the
taking,
public.
here's my land. I want a weight room of this big. I want a swimming pool right here. I want a basketball
Basically, their
court.
colorized
That's it.
sketch of a layout.
They'll draw you a
General
picture.
idea. They'll get you a couple of different layouts. That is just going into their office, once you pick an architect firm, going into their office, they can take they normally just take the GIS model and they work it up off of that, straight out of their office. So there's not a whole lot of legwork. It's, do they wanna do this project or potentially do this project with y'all? All the board would need to do is authorize this firm to get us a colorized couple of site plan options to bring to the public. And then you're gonna model around that until y'all get something, a consensus from your board and y'all's constituents. and then you take it to engineering.
Right.
So it's not, we're not looking at $50,000, $100,000 yet. You're probably only needing 10, 15 max.
And that's where we're in uncharted territories. We don't even know what the beginning cost of that stuff will be, so that's why we
But that's
just
where-
wanna make sure we're covered.
That's where you get with Randy Goodlow's office, a couple of the architects, and you can see what, if, some of them will do some of that pro bono, if
Right.
y'all got them listed, if the project kicks off, they add that portion into that fund.
Okay.
So some of them, you may be able to talk to some of the younger architects.
I know Randy pretty good.
in town.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get this settled right here. This is working on the game plan, get your, taking your money, get your drawings up, which is maybe $10,000, $15,000, $20,000. You'll have $480,000 in the bank, and go from there. And if everything looks good and you go put it in front of the people, try to pass the tax, if the tax passes, then we'll unchain that $1 million from Jump Street, and y'all can take over. I mean, that, and it's drawing interest in your name. It ain't like, the interest is coming to the jury. The interest is going to the Grand Lake Rec, no matter if it's in your account or our account.
Right.
Hurricane come tear up the parish, we're gonna have to push the rec to the side, because we'll be needing that money.
Correct.
And I don't think anybody will have a problem with that when they're trying to repair their homes, their school, and everything else. So I think that's being fair. I think if now if I understand you might have thought you were gonna spend your whole 500,000,
We're,
didn't know,
no idea.
Yeah, but I think if the hydraulic guy said, $20,000, roughly in that range, that ain't gonna hurt you, I don't think.
And I can go to some of these meetings with you and help you vet any of these architect firms. That stuff I can help with.
Okay.
And we can start getting rough numbers. If these numbers do become astronomical, then we can talk to the jury.
You're gonna back up.
Yeah.
But at least, this is gonna be a 3 to 6 month process, just getting the public on board.
Correct.
Then you still, so that gives FEMA time to obligate. Now you've got obligation funds. Now you've got something else to bring to the public.
Yeah, you got a picture you can show them, that means everything.
And so now we've got something picked that they can vote on for that tax, that'll get you the other $1 million, and we can keep carrying the project forward. So you're looking at a 3 to 6 month process, just in what you're trying to do now before you even design.
Correct.
And now it'll give FEMA time to catch up, that'll give y'all time to get the public.
More FEMA money back that we got $10
Yeah.
million out.
I mean, a lot of things.
The funding of putting that on the tax, on the voting roll, what is the cost of putting a tax on the
It
voting?
depends on how much is on the ballot, because what you do, whatever is on the ballot is a split between different things.
Is that something our rec board has to pay for?
The rec board will pay for that, yes.
So,
Worst case
I think
scenario.
the thing is, if we get,
Tremaine, worst case scenario, if you run it by itself, it's only around 8 or 10,000.
Yeah, but if it's with the, like you said, the March or April, or like the October, it's
The
like
big
2,000.
elections, yeah,
Up
you're
2,000.
looking at a couple thousand.
hopefully, we have something by April where we get on the March, April ballot and go from there with it. We got enough drawings where we can spread them out, put them on Facebook where a lot of people watching.
Yeah, because if it fails the first time, you have to wait 6 months.
Yeah, we can put it
Try
back
to
in
run it
October.
again.
Yeah.
So,
But I mean, we can have enough drawings out there, we can pass them out, show the people
Right.
what we're trying to build, but we gotta pass this tax
You gotta
to
educate,
maintain.
educate your people.
Yes.
you gotta educate
Keyword.
the people. that
You
this
have to,
is a
you have to
maintenance
see
tax.
something to be educated.
Right, you gotta need a
That's-
picture.
That's where we at.
But,
Yeah.
Tremaine, I've been since
Oh, yeah.
we was in here last time, supported it then, and I told them if they pass the tax, I'll support it all the way.
Right.
Never had.
Well, I mean,
So maybe nobody's pushed it forward, so
It's
you
a
need to really
blind
push
tax.
it now.
that's where we at. It's a blind tax, so we don't know what to even start with on that. I mean, is it 1 mil, is it 10 mil?
Mhm.
That's why we're back here today.
But I think, well, talk to the tax assessor, he done figured it up at $4 million, what it would cost each household, he knows the exact money.
Yeah, that's something else you need, when we start politicking for it, is each household, if your house is assessed at this much, it's gonna cost you $200 more a year for your
Right.
taxes, cause
That's
people
what they
scared
gonna
to
do.
death, don't know what taxes is crazy in Grand Lake, you pay them, I pay them, and, so, you don't tell them some kind of amount, they go, I ain't voting for that.
Right.
Yeah, you
You know,
gotta,
if you tell them it's only gonna cost you $50 more a year, oh,
What is
hell, I'll
for?
pay that.
Most time they know it's for the kids, I don't know if they gonna vote for it.
Right.
They should.
so.
I don't know, they failed the school tax, so,
Motion to
I
table it for
don't
a couple
know.
months,
So,
until he gets his stuff in.
yeah, it's already on the voting, so you can either make a motion at the beginning of the meeting to remove the whole item, or you can table it.
So we'll just table it, it's on the vote meeting, we'll table it for a month, and maybe you can come back and we can go from there and try to,
Might have an answer.
How about your temporary building that y'all have there now? What's going on with that? Y'all need some help with that? What is
So
all
we're
that?
doing good, we have that pretty much figured in our yearly budget, so we're paying for the rental of that, we have our insurance covered, our electricity, water, employees.
Y'all have that already going?
Yes.
We're,
Open?
it's not open yet, we're waiting on the equipment, they're waiting on one more piece to be delivered to Fitness Expo, and then they'll set up a date for delivery, and then from there we'll proceed. Right now, we have our security systems in, we're waiting on camera communications this week, ordered our computers, we have our desk in, we're ramping up to get open.
Okay.
And we got all that approved before
Correct.
before we
Good,
did
that's
it.
fine.
And that was,
Got
that's what
FEMA
took
to
so
say,
long.
yes, they can do that.
is that,
Free rent.
that sound like a plan?
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever we can do, to move forward
So
and
Gary,
get this process going.
Yeah, you gotta start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
How long
Gotta
does it
go on
take?
record, but running public
You're
office.
saying.
So,
Sounds
If-
good, man.
or- I mean, are we good with that? Is that sound, I mean, I know we kind of failure from what we kind of talked about, but
Look, we can probably, instead of, not only in your meetings, invite the public, because I know nobody shows up. But if we start having maybe do some kind of little town hall meeting with Grand Lake,
Figure out where we and how.
Best thing is get the deal first, Tremaine, and you got something.
yeah, we'll get.
You gotta need something to show.
Yeah, picture dude made.
to get it drawn up, we have a town hall meeting, try to go from there.
All right, sounds good. We appreciate y'all's help.
But,
I make a motion, we table it tonight.
well, it's on the vote meeting, we're doing it on the vote meeting.
We'll take it.
All right, anything else on the, anything else?
Sir.
All right, meeting adjourned.